Howdy, folks. I'm the guy with D's glasses.
I'm Amber.
And here's some Reddit. Our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Skipping My Mother's 5th Wedding to Go to a Job Interview Instead? And just to let you know, there is a content warning of cheating. Let's get started. For the past few months, I, a 26-year-old female, have been unemployed and desperately looking for a job, and I finally got an opportunity for a job at ASDA, a popular British supermarket. But the date overlapped with my 52-year-old mother's 5th wedding. Over the span of my life, my mother has been in well over 50 relationships, only 5 lasting more than 2 months. As a child, this really distressed me as I had many random men coming into my house frequently, and my mom was pretty much neglecting me through all of this. My dad left when I was 4 after my mother cheated on him with 6 guys. I found this out a lot later, and I didn't have contact with him until I was 18. After all of my mother's relationships and 4 divorces, she finally insisted that she had found the right man and invited me to their wedding 2 weeks before my interview, and I realized that they were the same date. I figured that going to the interview would benefit me more than the wedding and decided to go to the interview instead. I assumed my mother wouldn't mind as I had attended every wedding before that, but I was wrong. She was very angry at me, and my whole family have been calling me to tell me how much of a jerk I am for missing my mother's big day. I did get the job though, and now I'm financially stable enough to afford rent for my 1 bedroom flat, and I do not regret a thing. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not a jerk.
OP, I don't fault you in this situation because at the end of the day, what you have to do is keep yourself alive. And I mean, you don't want to get kicked out of your apartment. You don't want to be on the streets, and it's not going to do you much good if you're, if for your mother, if you're trying to interrupt her honeymoon, so to speak, with showing up to her house and being like, "Hey, guess what, Ma? I'm living here now." So I don't think you're a jerk in this situation. I do think you had to choose a priority, and 2 weeks is not a lot of notice to give someone to make sure that they can get to a wedding on time. And I know that sometimes people are spontaneous, but I really think that it was a bit rude to not send out wedding invites sooner. I mean, weddings are a big thing and they require a lot of time to prep. So I think for her it was a bit short sighted, and you had other things you needed to do. You already had plans for that day. So I don't think you're a jerk as long as you told them ahead of time when they sent out the invites that you weren't going. So, anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk, you'll catch the next one. Seriously, there's never been a more appropriate time to play that card. Not the jerk. I have a rule. I attend only one of each of the major life events per party per person. You'll only see me at one of your weddings, one baby shower, and one divorce party, one funeral. Well, I mean, that's obvious for that last one, right? And all others get an RSVP regrets response. Okay, maybe I'd go to a second funeral because you don't see those every day. Yeah, I mean, sure. You'd be at the second funeral and be like, y'all sure this time? While poking the body. I love all the snarky comments telling her that you'll come to the sixth, but if you need an actually productive thing to tell her, apologize for the unavoidable conflict, just to keep the peace, and tell her you'd love to take her out for dinner, make them dinner to celebrate the first anniversary next year, either on the date or near it, if they want a date for something special just for them. But set a price limit. If you go out, that could get rough. Not the jerk for sure. Alright, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for using my husband's money to pay for my daughter's Apple iPhone that he broke? My daughter is 16 and she had her old phone for 6 years and wanted a new phone. I'm the only one working right now since my husband decided to take a break from work after he inherited some money from his dad. I saw that she did get pretty good grades at school despite having mental health issues that had gotten in the way of her focus before, and so I decided to keep her and encourage her and reward her by getting her an Apple iPhone that cost a good sum of money. I did my best to save money to buy it. I literally skipped paying for breakfast at work to be able to afford it, and my husband didn't want to help, so I did it all on my own. I bought her the iPhone, and quite honestly, I haven't seen her this happy in a while. It was refreshing for me because she really went through some hard times in the past couple of years emotionally and mentally. My husband wasn't happy with this, and he said the iPhone will only distract her from school and chores, but that wasn't true. In fact, it encouraged her to get more done. But he still said I shouldn't have spent that kind of money on an iPhone that she might be irresponsible with and break. My daughter picked up on his attitude towards the iPhone, but I told her to ignore him. Days ago, I found out that he broke the iPhone. I asked him why, and he asked her to get him something from the toolbox in the garage, but she was on the phone and ignored him. He used this incident as evidence that the phone was bad influence, but I yelled at him and demanded that he replace it. He said that he wouldn't, so I took the money out of his account and paid for a new iPhone and gave it to my daughter. He saw what I did and went off on me, calling me vicious and awful, and accused me of stealing his father's money and demanded the money I took, every single penny back. I basically told him that it won't happen. He got his mother on the phone saying that I'm a terrible example for my daughter by getting her a phone paid for with the money that I stole from her dad. My husband said he won't speak a word with me until I fix this, but I already said that I owe him nothing. Am I the jerk for this? Edit to add, no, he's her biological father, not a stepdad. And the price for the iPhone where I live is $1,000 and it's not cheap. Finding out that I took $1,000 out of his inheritance really got him furious. That he said that I was the worst woman that he met in his life. He's had 2 ex-wives, and if this is any way irrelevant. He took it back later and said he won't speak to me until the money is back. Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk.
All right, OP. Here's what I think here. I think that your husband did something that was pretty bad, and that, I mean, if he's really this concerned about you stealing money from him, then maybe you should tell him to take you to court. I mean, at the end of the day, you two are in a marriage, you're in a relationship, and he said the reason why he said that he didn't want the daughter to have the phone is because he said he was afraid that she would break it. But then he goes on ahead and breaks the phone himself. This seemed like a power move than more than anything. It doesn't really seem like he wanted to break the phone because he wanted to break the phone. And he thinks that by breaking it, that he was going to be able to have his way. And I think that's really regretful here. And I think that you two are going to end up having some pain points and friction here just because of this. So I really think that you two need to sit down and work out your problems, and even with a potential third party. I think that also, like, while he's accusing you of stealing, he also broke property, right? And I mean, if you break someone's property, then you owe them that money for that property. So, honestly, I think if you were to bring this in front of a court, the person who's going to end up owing the money is the husband for breaking the phone, right? And also, this is a really frustrating situation because you spent your own money, you spent your own time and energy saving up for this, and now he's treating it like his money is untouchable, whereas your money is just an expendable resource that he doesn't have to worry about. And I think that that's really, really problematic because you two should be working together as a team, not as opponents. And he seems to be treating this as like you two are adversaries of some sort. And I think that's really regretful. So, yeah, I don't think that you're the jerk, and I think that he needs to grow up and not break stuff because he doesn't get his own way. So, yeah, anyhow, take care and good luck. Sounds like you need to save up for a divorce. Run. To purposefully break someone's belonging because their actions anger you, this is so abusive and controlling, it's just a massive red flag. How can OP's daughter feel safe around a parent who resorts to damaging their property? What's next? Her bedroom door? I mean, we've seen that a lot. Not the jerk, making him pay for an item that he deliberately broke, especially when he knew how hard you saved for it, is perfectly acceptable. Extremely concerning facts. 1. He felt it was acceptable to break a valuable possession of your daughter as punishment. 2. That he felt running to enlist aid from his mother to berate you is a good idea. That's actually a really good point. And 3. Thinks the silent treatment is an acceptable form of punishment. This really needs to be dealt with, and you absolutely need to make sure your daughter is not being treated badly as part of your relationship problem. Go to couples counseling immediately or reassess the marriage, but don't let your daughter get put in the middle. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice and let's have some tea. My choices today, I revised them a little while ago: Earl Grey, Mega Mint, and Licorice Spice. So make sure to choose your beverage that I'm drinking. What increases in value when it's turned upside down? The number 6. Oh my goodness. That is a very silly joke. Oh, and I have Earl Grey. All right, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling a Kid That He's Low Income? I'm a 19-year-old female and a current college freshman, and I'm part of a student committee that reaches out to incoming students to help their transition into school. For low-income students, defined as kids who will 100% be on financial aid when they come here, we're supposed to ask if they want to be part of any special programs for low-income kids. A lot of programs exist to help them when they arrive. I met with an incoming student, an 18-year-old male, whose family's income was around $65,000 a year. The cutoff for full financial aid at our school is an income of around $70,000, and students with family incomes of up to $200,000 typically get some percentage of aid. As one of the students on 100% aid, he's marked as low income and will be in the most economically disadvantaged 20% of students here. I was supposed to ask if he wants to be considered for special low-income tutoring programs, low-income social organizations, and other programs for disadvantaged kids. Our school offers a lot since low-income kids usually struggle the most with their grades and getting involved when they arrive. The kid became very upset and started saying that he's not low income or disadvantaged and his parents have good jobs. He was extremely offended. I wasn't trained on what to say in such an instance, and it was awkward. So I just had to be like, well, your profile right here says you are. And he was mad. He was super upset when the meeting ended, which was counterproductive. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Could have been worded better, but probably no jerks here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there were really any jerks in this situation. I think that he was offended by being labeled as something that he didn't expect himself to be labeled as. And whether or not he's low income by the standards of the school or not is, it's kind of an arbitrary thing. And I think that, yeah, you might have been able to phrase things a little bit differently, but you were also shocked and taken aback by his response to you, which you hadn't ever had experience with. So in the future, I wouldn't say, push it and say, like, well, the profile says you are. Just be like, oh, okay, well, here are some programs that you're still eligible for if you are interested in them. And then you don't have to necessarily label him as low income or whatever. So, I don't know. I don't think that he's a jerk, and I don't think that you're a jerk. So, anyhow, take care and good luck. Your school couldn't have named it any better. Hey, you want to sign up for the poor kid help? You want some government cheese? Yeah, I mean, it is praised pretty badly. Lol, seriously though, this will be a lesson for OP, albeit a tough one. I think they should have phrased it as extra services that they provide for those on 100% financial assistance in order to possibly help their experience at the school be a better one, or some such phrasing, exactly. The way OP put it to the young man was offensive. I also didn't care for the implication that kids from poorer households don't do as well in school. That's stereotyping at its finest, and it's so freaking untrue in my opinion, regardless of what will inevitably be quoted from statistics by someone here in the comments. I came from a very poor household, a daughter of a single mother who was a waitress for her whole life and got straight A's, graduated with high honors, and did very well for myself without the extras for poor people. Shaking my head, you get what you work for. I've got nothing against extra help available for low income kids because some need that extra assistance, yes, but to make simple generalizations that kids from poor households don't do as well in school is a bunch of hooey, in my opinion. I think that maybe they also phrase this badly. Statistically speaking, people from lower income households may perform worse compared to those at higher income households. I don't think this is meant to be a generalization. It's just there's some statistical things that if you look at the bell curve, you're gonna see like a grade distribution based off of one group of people or another group of people. If you've had all the advantages in the world, personalized tutoring and all these things, then it's going to be a little bit easier for you to settle into a school. But yeah, I just think that you shouldn't be offended that there's always going to be exceptions to every rule. There's always going to be someone who outperforms just because they outperform, but there's always going to be people who do need extra help. According to your profile, you are eligible for additional services. How hard is that? It sounds better than, hey, you're poor, we got stuff for poor people like you. Poverty make power face. Not the jerk, but they should have given you a better script. Obviously, students know when they're receiving financial aid, so maybe just phrase it as part of your financial aid package, you have access to the following benefits. People like getting benefits. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. And if you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Will this be the end of Brian's advice? No, no, there's no more reading. Brian broke.